who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Who you with, Kirk? I'm out. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to Speak on it. Welcome to Speak on it. I'm welcome to Speak on it. Welcome to Speak on it. I'm welcome to Speak on it. Welcome to Speak on it. I'm welcome to Speak. Welcome to Speak. Welcome to Speak. I'm 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 who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm who you with, Kirk, dog. Want to welcome everyone to the show tonight. Everyone on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. D Live is always in the house. I'm running solo tonight. Miss Risky got her second dose yesterday, so she's feeling a little bit down tonight. So just keep her lifted up in your prayers. She will be back next week if the Lord say the same. So tonight, y'all have to deal with me again. I know some of you was waiting for Miss Risky to come on. Y'all only come on Thursday nights, but it's just me tonight. So tonight we're gonna hit on a couple of stories. You can live chat with us in the chat room also, regardless of which platform you own, except if you're on my private Facebook page. If you are on my private Facebook page, please go to Speak On It with who you with, Kurt, dog, and you can live chat with us, and we can put your chat up on the monitor. So definitely take advantage of that. If we say something that you would like to participate in, definitely go ahead and chat with us. I'm sorry, I came on. I ain't cutting nobody lights on. I just was looking good. Chaos, welcome to the show. Said, hope you feel better soon, Miss Risky. Hey, Kurt, no. Yeah, I've talked to her a couple of times today. So, well, I texted her a couple of times. And she kept saying, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I said, look, if you need to take some rest, get some rest. I understand. I had mine on Friday, so I understand exactly how you feel. And because it may affect me a certain way, or it may affect Miss Risky a certain way, please do not let that discourage you from getting the shot, because the shot is what's going to help all of us. Even with the shot, you still need to be careful, still wear your mask, because you don't know who you're around. I talked with a friend the other day, and they informed me that, hey, man, I have COVID. I was like, wow. All from a family get together. Now he had COVID. So he'll be on quarantine at least until Saturday. So I'm like, cool, well, that's a good thing. Glad you're doing good. He said he just had a little ache and pain. So I'm glad you're doing good. Make a speedy recovery. So, but he told me, he said, look, but as soon as I get out of quarantine, I don't care what's going on. I'm going to get that shot. So that's what his doctor informed him. So that's what's going on. But tonight, we're gonna hit up a couple of stories tonight. Um, Devontae Robbins. Um, yeah, talk about him, but I need to put a call in a big bubble since he liked little boys. Um, we're gonna talk about Bill Cosby, uh, Amy Cooper, and then we're gonna talk about Manuel Ellis that was killed, um, quite like George Floyd. So these three officers have been charged in that killing, which they should be. So we're gonna hit on that tonight. Um, like I said, you could chat live with us in a chat room throughout the show, and always the number is strolling across the top. So Devontae Robbins, he I don't I seen this story and I was like, nah, you gotta be kidding me. Um, so basically, man arrested for trying to kidnap a child from Walmart. Police say this happened in Leland, North Carolina. A man was arrested following attempted kidnapping of a 7-year-old boy from near the entrance to Walmart on Northport Boulevard in Leland shortly after 4 p.m. Wednesday. Leland police respond to a report kidnapping at 4:07 after several calls from people who witnessed a man attempting to take a child who was near one of the entries up to the store. As the man attempted to carry the child away, the child mother was able to oh, grab her legs, grab her child legs, and prevent the abduction. The incident was caught on surveillance video, which was released on Thursday. Police arrived on the scene approximately 4:12 and arrested Devontae Robbins. He is held on 75,000 bond for the following charges: second-degree kidnapping, assault on a child under the age of 12, resist delay in obstruction a law enforcement officer. Just 75,000? That's pretty low. Based on a preliminary investigation, police say this appeared to be an isolated incident. The Leland Police Department encouraged the public to always remain vigilant of their surrounding. $75,000 bond for attempted kidnapping, and no telling what else would have happened to this child. Um, I tell people all the time, I say it all the time on the show, please pay attention to your kids. No matter where you are, not just your kids, but pay attention to your surrounding. So definitely, no matter what, you see something, say something. Now I'm glad the other people from that was at Walmart shopping, I'm glad they actually said something. So that's a good thing that they said something. Now, I know you can't really just go up and assume the worst, but once you found out it was a kidnapping, attempted kidnapping, it could have been anything, but you don't want to assume. But thank God it wasn't my child, none of my nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, because it would have been a different headline. It would have been real different. Um, for this dude to try to kidnap this child under the age of 12 or any child, but only get $75,000 bond. That seems like that's pretty low. Maybe that's my opinion. Maybe I'm thinking for anything dealing with a child should automatic be million and up. I don't know. I don't know how they figured that price, $75,000 bond for attempted kidnapping. And why are you gonna kidnap this child? Maybe I'm looking too far ahead because I don't even want to imagine what could have happened to that child. Excuse me. But anyway, I'm glad he's arrested. But $75,000 bond. That's low. That's really low. I know some people may say, well, that's only 10% of a $750,000 bond. Maybe the bond need to be no way they get out on bond at all. Because here it is, we've seen too many incidents where a child end up uh, being kidnapped, being murdered, or whatever. But $750,000 bond is just not enough. We need to teach these folks a lesson. And that's my opinion, especially with what happened with Cash a couple of weeks ago here in Dallas. Um, he's in his room bed asleep. And here it is. Dude come in, pull him out his bed, and kill him. That's way too much. Um, um, so that's my opinion. I know some of you may have different opinion, but I would like to know how y'all feel about it because you attempted to kidnap a child like it wasn't nothing. Yeah, I know you was at Walmart, but that child was not up on the shelf for sale. You need to be in jail with no bail. Um, that's my understanding. Now, I know some people have different views about it, and rights to justice, and he have every right for a free trial. I understand that, but a child, um, yeah, with Cash, the guy did go back for his twin brother, but he wasn't there. Um, uh, so I'm like, hey, it's all good though. Now, when this story came out today, um, um, yeah, I'm, I'm, I'm really, look, Bill Cosby, Bill Cosby denied parole. Yeah, I know some people gonna say, well, he was denied because he refused to take a sex offender, a program, a treatment program for sex offenders. Now, uh, I understand he needed to take the program, but Bill is how old now? Because at this point, Bill is blind, and his age. What are you gonna do? I'm just wondering. Um, because it's that's 83 years old. Now, I know some people may say, well, 83, they got tools now. But he can't see the pattern. Um, but Bill can, come on now, 83 years old, he denied bail. Um, According to TMZ, Bill Cosby struck out on his attempt to get released from prison. The parole board denied his request. Bill was denied parole this month with the Pennsylvania uh, parole board, and saying a lot of factors went into its decision to rule against the comedian. For instance, they say he didn't participate in a treatment program for sex offenders, and he failed to develop a parole release plan. The board say strike three against Cosby is the fact he got a negative recommendation from the Department of Correction. Cosby rep Andrew Watts tell TMZ Bill isn't surprised by the denial because members of the parole board told him he would be denied if he didn't participate in the sex offender program. He's not giving up hope in his quest for parole, though. Wise tell us Cosby is hopeful the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court will vacate his conviction and potentially grant him a new trial. As you know, in September 2018, Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison after being convicted of aggravated incident assault of Andrew Constant at his home in 2004. Well, I don't know. I 83 years old now. I don't know them personally, but I hear some 83 years old still getting in. But Bill is blind, and at this point, how is he gonna? I don't know. Um, Hey, Miss Risky. Hope you feeling better. We all praying for you. Um, Glad to see you stopping in, blessing the show. Um, I think once I said you wasn't going to be on, we lost one person. We're not going to say no names though. Um, but hopefully you feel better by next week. We can be back together again. Um, so I don't know, but Bill is 83 years old, 83, and unfortunately, um, with that, they treating Bill like he's did a terrorist attack on Capitol Hill. They giving them more respect than him. Um, Now, what Bill did was wrong. At this point, it's nothing that is gonna, I don't see personally too much Bill can really do. Now, 83 years old, if and he blind, if he get out of line, roll up some newspaper, tear those ankles up. I'm just saying. I wouldn't personally do it, but that's an old joke. If you from Dallas, you know where it came from. Um, but you know, be like, look, you don't have to. I don't need to say that one either. I he did terrorize a woman. Yes, he did. He said he did dope him up and took advantage of him, which he is wrong. But I think health wise, um, health wise, they should let him out because of his health. Now, let's think about this. Um, let's think about this also, because the thing is, when the um, with Bill Cosby, here it is, the lady that lied on Emmett Till still haven't been arrested. I'm gonna just throw it out there because it's completely different when it's dealing with certain group of folks. I feel that Bill should have done his time, but also um, at this point, 83 blind. Look, I don't know. I'm kind of torn between, but he need to be held accountable for it. Put a monitor on him. I don't see him driving nowhere. Yeah, I know he may have somebody may be able to call him a Uber or something, but still, put a monitor on him. Put him on house arrest. But Bill should have. I don't know. He been pretty good except for certain things. Um, yeah, I've never been to jail. Now, from what I've heard from people, yeah, you do need to agree with it. Um, but he blind. I don't I don't know. Did he go to the parole hearing? That's the question. He said he was denied. Uh, was he in there smiling and talking about Jello pudding pops? Um, I don't know. Which job was that? To take the class? Yeah, he should have took the class. If that's a requirement, he should have taken it. He's 83 and blind, and I don't know. Um, he was blind before he went to prison, but yeah, he had one job: take that class, get it over with. Um, so I don't know. Hopefully he get released. Hopefully, hopefully do what's right, and they they actually, well, he got to be held accountable. Yeah, that's why I was wondering if it was a test at the end of the class, or what did this class consist of? Just listen to someone talk, and um, so I don't know. Um, I'm sure it was actual class. His ears do work; they do work. Um, I don't know how good they work, because I think last time I seen him, he did have some um, hearing aids on. But then again, hey, he did do the crime, so he got to do the time. He's sentenced 3 to 10 years, and they're gonna try to make an example. Or they have made an example out of him, which is cool with me. That's why if you love your freedom, you don't go out there and do crazy stuff that's gonna take your freedom from you. Prime example. Don't go out there and attack Capitol Hill and think you still gonna be free. Even though we see a lot of them free, which shouldn't have bail at all, because if there was any other terrorists, they would not have bail. So I'm just saying they should not have been given bail. They shouldn't have been allowed to go on trips or any of that. But that's a different breed of folks. Everybody not the same. So some people is uh, treated nicely. You do wrong, you could go on vacation. We're gonna slap you on the wrist and tell you not to do it again. No, y'all need to hold them accountable. So I don't know if y'all remember back in, was it last year or the year before? Last year. Yeah, it had to been last year because I was doing the show. Amy Cooper. I don't know if y'all remember that name or not. Amy Cooper. That's mm, uh, the woman that was fired after calling 911 on a black bird watcher. Now she's suing for discrimination of her employer, well, her former employer. Amy Cooper, a white New York woman who called police on a black bird watcher in Central Park last Memorial Day. Oh, so it's going to be a year. Is suing the company that swiftly fired her over the controversial incident. We do not tolerate racism of any kind at Franklin Templeton. The investment firm said the day after the incident. It said it had completed an internal review and decided to terminate her effective immediately. Amy Cooper filed a federal lawsuit this week against Franklin Templeton, saying the company never investigated the incident that led to her firing. The confrontation between her and Kristen Cooper, no relationship, far as I know. Her lawsuit claimed that her employer discriminated against her because of her race and gender. Much of the encounter was captured on video by Kristen Cooper, who is not related to Amy Cooper. That answer that question. After he said he asked her to put a leash on her to comply with the rules in that area of the park. The video, which went viral, shows Amy Cooper calling the police. I'm in the ramble, and there's a man, African American man. He got a bicycle helmet. He's recording me and threatening me and my dog. And said the emergency dispatcher. The bird watcher does not appear to come closer to her and remain calm as Amy Cooper grows agitated and starts to scream. I'm sorry, I can't hear. Are you there? I'm being threatened by a man in the rambles. Please send the cops immediately. He was not threatening her in the video. Oh, my bad. I forgot to cut that voice off. He was not threatening her in the video. Kristen Cooper told NPR after that that what the woman did was pretty crappy without a doubt. He said, "I'm not sure that her 1 minute of poor decision making made bad judgment, and without question, racist." Played racist response necessary has to define her completely. Amy Cooper lawsuit state that she did not call the police because she was racist, but because she was alone in the park and frightened to death after being selected as the next target of Kristen Cooper. The next target of Kristen Cooper. That seemed like that could be like she indicating like he was up to something no good. What type of target were you? Oh, okay. An overzealous bird watching engaged in Central Park, ongoing feud between bird watcher and dog owner. She is seeking back pay and bonus, loss of invested fund, and other benefits. Front pay of reinstatement, emotional distress damage, attorney fees and costs, and injury and punitive damage, and the amount to be determined at trial. Franklin Templeton maintained that the company did the right thing in firing Cooper. We believe the circumstances of this situation speak for themselves and that the company responded appropriately. The company told NPR in an email statement, "We will defend against these baseless claims." And Cooper also faced a misdemeanor charge of falsely reporting the incident to police. Now, the woman just said she didn't call the police. The Manhattan District Attorney Office dropped the charge after she completed uh, virtual version justice session. Now, first of all, Kristen Cooper, he did her a favor. He did her a favor because he chose not to press charges against her. Now, the terms that she used in that video last year was the terms to get the police there faster. By saying he's a black man, an African American man, however you want to call it, she was wrong for that. She was definitely wrong. And she got the results. Franklin Templeton did what they had to do. She represented them. Now, once they found out where she worked at, they have to make a decision. Can we keep her on or do we get rid of her? For the simple fact, if they keep her on, how many of their customers will they lose? How many of their customers are black? And if you don't hold people accountable for what they've done, that's going to fall on you. You're making a big risk of losing everything. So yes, Amy, be glad you're not going to jail. Because I will let you know now, if I were Kristen Cooper, I would have pressed charges without a doubt. I would not think twice. I would have said right then and there, I want to press charges and left it at that. Radio said, funny how people would do stupid things even when they know they're being filmed. They do it all the time, but they feel it's not going to hurt them in any type of way. Why? Because the color of their skin. The color of their skin. They feel like, oh, this would not affect me. I could call the police and tell them it's a black man threatening me, trying to attack me, and it won't affect me. The police will come and they will believe me. That's kind of like, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was old Sanford and Son episode, or it could have been Good Time, one of those old shows. And they end up having to call the police, and they said, "Tell them you white. They'll come quicker." That was back in the 70s. And still today, we still have people that's using that for an advantage. If I could say I'm white and the perpetrator is black, they gonna come real quick. We've seen too many incidents over the last years. Over the last years, we've seen a lot of incidents like this. And a lot of people lost their jobs. And Amy, Unfortunately, you're going to lose a lot of money. Now, I don't know, Franklin Templeton may settle on something, but if it was me, I wouldn't settle on shit. Because you did wrong, but you're trying to get compensated for doing wrong. Um, Radio said, what hobby is more wholesome than bird watching? Man, I feel you on that. Just to be able to sit back, especially if it's a nice, cool day, sit back and just watch them. Um, T. Cal said all the time they do it. She said it was on good time. Um, so I think that's when someone broke in the house and robbed them or something, and they helped them capture and said, tell them you white to get them there quicker." Because I know it was some episode on Good Time. They had been waiting like 3 or 4 days for the cops to show up because they were scared of the neighborhood. You are listening to Speak On It with Who You With Kirk Dog. I'm Who You With Kirk Dog. You can live chat with us in the chat room, regardless of what platform you're on. You can live chat with us just like TCAL Radio. If you want, put in the chat where you are. This is a platform for everyone, regardless of where you're located, who you vote for, who you didn't vote for. This is a platform for everyone. We only have a couple of rules. Be respectful and come with facts. That's it. I know conspiracy theory is allowed here. Other than that, this is a platform for everyone. Radio said maybe Amy should take up bird watching to try it and relax. She probably see a crow or something and call the police on the crow, call animal control. There's a black crow coming after me. um, or what was that movie, The Birds? All these black birds, they trying to attack me. Radio said, not radio, Miss Risky said, I'm still trying to figure out why they called that show Good Time. It wasn't a damn thing good about it. uh, it was depression, but it was, I guess, in a sense, it was giving people the views of what was going on in Chicago. Even though it's supposed to have been good times, but it wasn't always good time. Some of I forgot the name of the projects that was there. I think the first time I went to Chicago, either they had just, I think they was in the process of getting ready to close those projects. And now I want to say they tore them down and kind of think they built the hospital or remodeled it for a hospital or something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was Good Time was a good show. So don't get me wrong, Good Time was a great show. It showed us a lot of things. Um, um, Showed us a lot of things about Good Time. Pretty great. Okay, that's true. But it wasn't a lot of good things. It put spotlights on what black folks was going through the 70s. And unfortunately, they hit on a lot of true things that was happening during that time, like crooked elected officials. Well, we still have allegedly some crooked elected officials today. As we talked about last night, the voter suppression. So we still have them today. And then also, um, they talked about how the what was the mayor name, the bald headed guy, only came to the Evans family when he was trying to get reelected. I forgot his name, but the thing is, elected officials only want to reach out to you when it's election time. Um, I almost had his name on the tip of my tongue. Um, Oliver, not Oliver Green. I forgot the name of it, but it'll come to me in a minute. But that's what we deal with today. And then they also talked about uh, when it came down to jobs back then, how they wouldn't pay them much. Kind of sound like today. Here in Texas, we still have jobs minimum wage. What minimum wage in Texas is only 7.25. Now everything else is going up except the pay. So you're keeping people down in poverty. So how can we make it if we cannot make enough to even pay for our rent, take care of our family? They want you to depend on the government to get um, to actually get benefits from the government, food stamps, and all of this. Now I know some people will go and try to abuse the system, which is wrong. Um, but some people really do need that help. Now they talking about taking the crimes down. Well, how can you take Alamin Davis? That's his name. Thank you, Radio. Um, Talking about taking crimes down, but how can you take the crimes down when people have to make a decision between food on their table, are they medication, are they light bills, are they rent? How can you take the crimes down when the pay is so low? So I'm like, hey, Radio said, I like James Amos. The show wasn't the same when he left. James was a straight up father. He would kick tail first and ask question later. He wasn't finna go back and forth with you and be like, hey, this, no, he meant what he said and he said what he did. So that's all it was. So, but then after that show, I guess the next thing close to it was what's happening. And what's happening come along, um, it was a fatherless house. Um, Miss Risky said, but it reflect what was going on in the hood. Yes, it was. Um, Same with how Biden is doing with us now. He was down in the hood for voters, and then he fled when he got in. See, I hit on that the other day, but I said I'm working on some stuff, so we're gonna definitely hit on that because I have issue with Biden Harris administration. My issues are you said if we're not black enough if we don't vote for you, but you're making all these laws for everyone else. And see, that's the problem with a lot of the politicians. They come to the black churches, to the black community, but they do not look out for us once they get in those positions. The black community is always the last ones that they actually try to do something for. But if it wasn't from the black community, guess what? You would not be in the position that you're in. But you want to come to our churches, want to come to our community. Biden Harris, I'm giving y'all a little bit more time, but we need to see some action going on for the black community. Like I said during the campaign, I'm supporting them because they are the best ones to beat Trump. That's the only reason why I chose them. But I also said if they get in there and don't do what they talking about, we're gonna hold them accountable too. And that's where we are today. I'm gonna give you a little bit of time. Not much, but you're gonna feel the heat also because we're gonna start calling you out just like we did anybody else. For the simple fact, your statement was You're not black enough if you don't vote for me. But as soon as you get in office, you forget about the black community, the ones that got you in office. And the thing is, you got to pick your words choosily, wisely, because you went on this black radio station and made that comment, and then you try to clean it up. So yes, we're holding you accountable. You are made laws for everybody else except the black community. And I still want to know, why do we have to have a race attack attached to a hate crime? Why it just cannot be no hate crime, or a hate crime bill, instead of saying an Asian hate crime bill? Why do we have to um, put a race to it? Because it shouldn't be about a race. Call it like it is, a hate crime, and hold these folks accountable for it. Hold them accountable. If they do it, hold them accountable. Just like the cops, hold them accountable for their actions as well. Hold them accountable, because here it is. You want us to kumbaya and uh, vote for you, but what are you doing for the black community? What laws are you making for the black community? Okay, okay. I know what somebody gonna say. I forgot the sister name, but congratulations, she's the press secretary, and I'm glad to see one. Haven't been one in there for, I think they said 30 years or so. Hey, I'm glad for the sister. But what laws are you gonna change for the black community to support the black community? What are you going to do for that? I'm asking for myself. I'm asking for my friend. I'm asking for the people of America. I'm asking for the black people of America. What are you going to do? What laws are you doing to benefit the black community, to bring justice to the black community? Okay, I know you said you're going to try to get the George Floyd law passed. It shouldn't even be a question. Uh, uh, it's mighty funny. You having all this trouble trying to get the George Floyd law passed, but what, the Asian law was passed in just a couple of days? So what's really going on? I knew it wouldn't be long. What's going on, Marcellus? um, I'm running solo, but Miss Risky is in the chat. Uh, she's not feeling all that good. So Marcellus is a deacon and a preacher, so he may want to lay some hands. And Miss Risky telling me, "Hey Marcellus, wait a minute, let me do it like her. Hey Marcellus." Um, so yeah, that's my thing with Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. I want to know, when are y'all going to focus on the black community? I don't see. I understand we have to have um, hate laws or uh, stuff like that, but reality, we don't have to have them. If you just hold the folks accountable, call it like it is. Stop making excuses when folks do wrong. Hold them accountable. That will stop it. For over 400 years, it was hate going on against the black community, but still, a lot of them wasn't held accountable on this earth. And they call themselves a Christian, but they hate their own brothers and sisters. raping them, killing them, hanging them, lynching them, however you want to put it. But why is the black community are the last ones to see in a benefit um, or see anything um, to benefit them? Call it like it is. Be fair. Equal justice for everyone. You want to do a hate crime bill? Make it for everybody. We don't have to put race on it. Make it for everyone. Because when you put a race on it, some race been left out for over 400 years. Make it for everyone. Just like the 1937 marijuana bill. Only uh, only reason why the bill was passed because they used race to get it passed. Because they was trying to keep the Hispanics from making money when they came here, and they wanted to get them um, deported. And then they used the fear that if they didn't pass it, they white women would go to the Mandingo. It would get them encourage them to go with the brothers, and they didn't want to see that. But guess what? It still happened. It still happened. So, good night, Miss Risky. Hope you feel better. I'll check up on you tomorrow. Text you. Um, but the thing is, Biden Harris team, only thing we asking for, we want the same justice like everyone else. That's what we want. The same thing you do for other race, we want it too. And it have to start across the board from the White House to the outhouse. It have to be done. Um, Speaking of that, justice. Shout out to uh, Pierce County, that's over in Tacoma, Washington. Came out today. 3 Tacoma police officers charged in the killing of Manuel Ellis. In a year of holding police accountable, 3 Tacoma police officers faced criminal charges in the March 2020 killing of Manuel Ellis, a 33-year-old black man whose death sparked widespread protests and calls for justice. Attorney General Bob Ferguson, who took over the case from Pierce County, said Thursday he charged Tacoma police officer Christopher Burbank and Matthew Collins with second-degree murder and first-degree manslaughter, and Timothy Rakeem with first-degree murder. Ellis' sister, Monet Carter Mitson, had a mixed reaction to the announcement. It would be extremely hard not to convict based off of the evidence, witness statement, video, and the officer's own statement, said in an interview with the Seattle Times. However, I feel like the other officers, because of their involvement and based on their training, that they knew better that they could have been charged. The Washington State Patrol is serving arrest warrants for Collins, Burbank, and Rankin, but it is unclear if they're in custody. Telephone and email message left for attorney Michael Staropola, who is representing Matthew Collins and Stephen Myers, the lawyer for Christopher Burbank and Timothy Rankin, were not immediately returned. Ferguson announcement buck a history trend in Washington State where police officers almost never face criminal prosecution for death they cause on the job. The number of officers charged in Ellis' death equaled the number of charges against law enforcement officers in the past 40 years for killing someone while on duty. Before Thursday, there had been 3 officers prosecuted, including an Arbor officer charged last year with murder and assault. The murder and manslaughter charge against Collins, Burbank, and Rankin carried a maximum penalty of life in prison. The Tacoma Police Union, International Union of Police Associates, Local 6, issued a statement calling the charges a political motivated witch hunt. That sounds quite familiar, witch hunt. And said an unbiased jury would not allow these fine public servants to be sacrificed at the altar of public sentiment. That sounds so familiar. If I didn't see where it came from, I would have swore Trump made a statement there. Ellis died March 3rd, 2020, after being restrained by officers as he walked home from a convenience store with a late night snack, a raspberry-filled donut. The Pierce County Medical Examiner ruled Ellis' death a homicide with oxygen deprived caused by physical restraint as the primary cause, and methamphetamine intoxication and heart disease as contributing factor. Officer Collins, 38, Burbank, 35, Rankin, 32, and Mayshire Ford. I don't know who Mayshire Ford was because they didn't mention their name. Were placed on leave immediately after Ellis' death as the subject of an investigation initially conducted by the Pierce County Sheriff Department. The 4 officers were back at work 2 weeks later, but got suspended with pay again in June when the medical examiner homicide ruling became public. The witness and recorded portion of the fatal interaction cast the first 2 officers to arrive, Collins and Burbank, as the aggressor, with Ford and Rankin later restraining Ellis. According to the charging document, there was no evidence Ellis fought back. Once he was taken to the ground by Collins and Burbank, as corroborated by the video and statement from 6 witnesses. In charging document, the Attorney General noted that Collins choked Ellis from behind. Attacking court had ruled constitution deadly force while Burbank used a taser on him. One witness video showed Burbank delivering taser strike to Ellis while Ellis put his hand up in apparently submission. Ellis wasn't defending himself, said one witness. The video then shows Ellis' head falling limp toward the pavement. Collins can be seen pushing down with his arm onto the back of Ellis' head or neck, pressing Ellis' face into the pavement, according to charging documents. According an audio recording from a nearby ring camera, Ellis began pleading, "Can't breathe, sir, can't breathe." The audio code and officer respond, "Shut the fuck up, man." Rankin arrived later in their interaction between Ellis and officer and helped apply Hopper a nylon strap to restrain legs. Rankin acknowledged in a statement to investigators that a paramedic who arrived at the scene feared Ellis was gonna code, was near death unless he got an IV. So the paramedic asked Rankin to remove the restraint from Ellis' body. Rankin resisted, telling the paramedic he did not want to get him out of cuff in case he started fighting again. Charging document said only after paramedic insist on removing the restraint did Rankin obligate. The Pierce County Sheriff investigator collapsed. The day before his finding were to be sent to prosecutor when the department revealed that a deputy, Sergeant Gary Sanders, 47, had helped restrain Ellis, presenting a conflict of interest. Governor Jay Inslee stepped in, handing the investigation to Washington State Patrol, with Ferguson office responding for a charging decision. In June, I called for a new investigation and for the Attorney General to make a charging decision in the case, as it was clear to me that those needed to be made independent from Pierce County law enforcement. Insolent said in a statement, the more thorough State Patrol investigation include interview with witness who had not been contacted during the sheriff investigation, including bystander who recorded the fatal encounter. In February, Ferguson hired Seattle attorney Patty Eates, who prosecuted Green River serial killer Gary Ridgway, as a contract consultant to assist with his decision. She would lead the prosecution team with Assistant Attorney General Kent Liu, according to Ferguson office. Man. But they say it's not a problem. And it's a lot more. It's a lot more. But that's the issue that we have in America. That's an issue that Black folks have dealing with police officers in America. That's a race issue that we have in America, for the simple fact, I don't recall anywhere in there that the police was called out. It was a disturbance going on. He just went to go get him a raspberry filled donut for a late night snack. Who would think you go down to the local convenience store to grab you a snack and you're not going to make it back home? Who would think that? Who would think that you would go to have an encounter with a police officer and that could be the last day of your life? But we see this all so often when it's dealing with Blacks and white police interaction. Now, I know some of you may be tired of me saying there's a difference between Black and white laws, but it is. Until we recognize that's an issue in America, and until we change the laws and hold the people accountable? Yes, we need to. We definitely need to. And the thing is, they want to pull up, want to check drug records, see if he was on drugs, whatever it may be. But not one time have I heard them say, let's check some of these officers, do a drug test on them, see if they high at the time. Because you never know. They could be high as well. Now, um, the problem I'm having with Pierce County, Pierce County, Pierce County Sheriff Department. Now, the problem I have, last year, we had a beautiful angel family on the show last year, Lisa Johnson family. And the thing is, she was murdered in Pierce County. And they immediately said it was a suicide. They did not investigate it. And that family's still trying to get closure today. How can you rule something a suicide and you didn't investigate it? You haven't investigated. Um, as from what I can see as for now, there's no updates on her killing. Um, and I need to reach out to her family and follow up with them. But this is crazy. So when your own people get caught for murder, you don't do an investigation. When a young lady killed in your county, you don't do an investigation. Governor Inslee, we haven't forgot about Lisa Johnson. Let's open that case back up. Let's open it back up. We see here's prime evidence that Pierce County is dirty. Let's review other cases, starting with Lisa Johnson. Let's open Lisa Johnson case back up because they didn't investigate their own officers. And I understand for many years I've always heard Washington State is a depressed city. It's always raining. It's always suicide. But from what I heard from that family, and if you haven't heard the video, please go to YouTube and pull up um, the family of Lisa Johnson, the show that I did with them on it. Let's investigate them. There's a lot more cases like that. When I went to Washington State, I'm like, wow, it's nothing like what I thought. Now, I will say, just like any other major city, they do have a major homeless problem. And other than that, the city was great. I think it rained one time while we was there. Other than that, it was great. Now, it may be kind of like Florida. I know Florida, it could be, shoot, pretty hot out there and um, pretty hot out there, and then all of a sudden it's storming, raining. I was telling one of my cousins today. I said, man, he drive trucks on his way to Florida now. Shout out to Big Yak. Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna say his real name, but Big Yak. Um, but the thing is, I said, man, I remember the first time I went to Florida driving a truck. I had to stop and get some fuel. It's storming. I'm getting that fuel. I'm soaking wet. It didn't start raining until I started getting the fuel. And I got soaking wet, talking about drenching from head to toe. I walk inside. Um, I walk inside and pay for the fuel, come back out. It didn't even look like it rained outside. It was dry. But I'm up here soaking wet. I knew then I didn't like Florida. Um, um, so that's kind of um, that's the way I feel about Washington. Washington, to me, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of hot days, but if you get in a good spot, that breeze come through, you'd be like, "Ooh, that's pretty good." I don't like the fact of parking, because you had to pay for parking everywhere, and parking is not cheap. I'm talking about some places it was like from $20 to $30. Um, and you better choose the right one because if you try to go somewhere, oh, I'm gonna just be here for a couple of hours. That's about $20 for a couple of hours, or you could go longer for $30. I made that mistake. I said, Lord, but parking is not cheap. So yeah, um, hopefully, I'm glad the Attorney General Bob Ferguson um, tapped the case from Pierce County. I'm glad they doing everything to hold these officers accountable. Um, and then for the governor, I'm glad he's doing what need to be done as well. But let's not just hold these officers accountable. Let's investigate other cases that they was over. Because it's so easy to say a suicide where that murder rank would not be on your count. It's so easy to say that. So hopefully, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get them a call over the next couple of days and see how they doing. Um, and find out if it's any updates. And probably one day next week we will do a follow-up show. I will give y'all an update on it and try to find out if it's anything new came out of it. I just Google it and Nothing. I've had people to um, leave comments on YouTube asking questions. I made calls myself to Governor Inslee office. That was at the start of the pandemic. Of course, they was working remote. I did have uh, I forgot her name. I want to say it was his secretary called me back, and they said Pierce County would have to invite the FBI to get involved. This may be a time to try to do it because we can see Pierce County don't like to investigate their crimes. So, and especially, you cannot tell me nobody did not watch that video within Pierce County and know what was going on. They all seen that video and they just swept it under the rug. So hopefully we can put pressure on them and try to get it open again. Um, but I appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. Miss Risky, if you're still listening, hope you feel better. I will be checking up on you um, tomorrow and for the weekend, making sure you're okay. Um, if you're just not tuning in, you are listening to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. I am Who You With Kurt Dog. Um, you can live chat with us. You can always be a part of the show during the live shows. And also, um, let us know where you listen, where you tuning in at. Because I know a lot of people, we have people from all over. I think we had them as far as England, um, and all over people tuning in. So definitely continue to support the show. Whatever platform you're on, please take the time, like, share, tell a friend, click the notification for whenever we come on live. You're more than welcome to join us and be a part of the show. So until Sunday night, if the good Lord say the same, we will see y'all on Sunday. Be safe, stay protected, and if you are in a area that is doing runoff election, please get out and vote. Get out and vote. This is important. We talked about it last night, um, where certain Republican state is trying to do um, voter suppression. If you haven't seen the video of Jennifer, I believe her name is Jennifer Anderson, um, please go to motherjones.com. Check out the video. Check out the work that they are doing. Even here in Texas, it's a lot of work that need to be done. And people say, well, my vote don't count. It's going to count if you get out and vote. Think about it like this. If your vote did not count, they would not be trying to change the voting laws. And we need to hold the ones that is trying to do voter suppression, that is following the things that uh, the Heritage of America group, and it's another one, I think it's just called the Heritage Group and the Heritage of America. What they teaching these Republicans to do to cause voter suppression, as we seen in Atlanta, they've done it. Texas trying to do it in the Senate. That um, the elected official that presented it, and she said in this video how to do it. And the one that presented it here in Texas, when he was questioned about the bill, he could not answer the questions. So Atlanta did the same thing. As you can see with Atlanta, when the sister went there to try to find out what was going on, they had to sign it in a closed door. She was arrested. And now this video come out of them leaking this of how they was doing it. It feel like some charges need to be brought up against them. They trying to do a modern day Jim Crow voter suppression law. But we need to hold them accountable. So please, if if runoff election is going on in your city, your state, if it's in your area, please go and vote. Go and vote. Let your voice be heard. That's how we make change. So until Sunday night, I appreciate each and every one of you. Um, and I don't, my birthday is coming up. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do yet. Um, the 13th, just to let y'all know, the 13th. Don't know what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it, but I will be doing a show. So um so I'm gonna have to see how I'm gonna do it. But come celebrate it with me. We're gonna have a good time. So until Sunday night, I love each and every one of you. And then until then, peace.